I'm going to ask questions about Jane and Anne. Are Jane and Anne overweight?
No, Jane and Anne
No,
aren't overweight.
Jane and Anne aren't overweight. Are they slim?
Yes, they're slim.
Yes, they're slim. Are they slim or overweight?
They're slim. They're
They're
slim.
slim. Two years ago, were they slim?
2 years ago, they wasn't slim.
No, they weren't slim 2 years ago. 2 years ago, were they slim or overweight?
2 years ago, they was overweight.
2 years ago, they were overweight. Are they still overweight now?
No, they are no longer overweight
No,
now.
they aren't. Now, they're no longer overweight. Did they used to be overweight?
Yes, they used to be overweight.
Yes, that's correct. They used to be overweight. When were they overweight?
They were overweight 2 years
They were
ago.
overweight 2 years ago. Two years ago, were Jane and Anne both overweight?
Yes, that's correct. 2 years ago, Jane and Anne were both
Yes, that's
overweight.
correct. 2 years ago, Jane and Anne were both overweight. Were they equally overweight?
No, they wasn't equally overweight.
No,
One of
they
them
weren't
was
equally
more overweight than the other.
One of them was more overweight than the other. Was Anne more overweight than Jane?
No, Anne wasn't more overweight than Jane.
No, Anne wasn't more overweight than Jane. Who was more overweight than the other?
Well, Jane was more overweight than Anne.
Jane was more overweight than Anne. Were Jane a little overweight or very overweight?
Well, Jane was very overweight.
Well, Jane was very overweight. What about Anne? Was Anne a little overweight or very overweight?
Well, Anne was the little overweight.
Anne was a little overweight. Tell me again, who was more overweight than the other?
Jane was more overweight than Anne.
Jane was more overweight than Anne. Is Jane still overweight?
No,
Jane is no longer overweight. Is Anne still overweight?
No, Anne is no longer overweight.
No, Anne is no longer overweight. Did Jane and Anne used to be overweight?
Yes, Jane and Anne used to be overweight.
Yes, Jane and Anne used to be overweight. When were they overweight?
They were overweight 2 years ago.
They were overweight 2 years ago. How overweight were they?
Well, Jane was very overweight and Anne was a little overweight.
Jane was very overweight and Anne was a little overweight. Now, I'm going to ask questions about Kay and her brother Tom. When Kay and Tom were little, did they think Superman was real?
No, when Tom and Kay were little, they didn't think that Superman was real.
They didn't think Superman was real when they were little. Who do they think was real when they were little?
They thought Santa Claus wasn't real when they were little.
When they were little, they thought Santa Claus was real. Did they think zombie was real?
No, they didn't think the zombie wasn't real.
No, they didn't think zombie was real. Who do they think was real?
They thought Santa Claus wasn't real.
They
They
thought
thought
Santa
Santa
Claus
Claus
was
was
real.
real. Was real.
When Tom was a boy, did he have a friend named Nick?
Yes, when Tom was a boy, he had a friend named Nick.
Yes, that's correct. When Tom was a boy, he had a friend named Nick. What did Nick tell him one day?
Well, Nick told him that the Santa Claus wasn't real.
One day, Nick told him that Santa Claus wasn't real. Did Nick tell him that Superman wasn't real?
No, Nick didn't tell him that the Superman wasn't real.
No, Nick didn't tell him that Superman wasn't real. Did Nick tell him that zombies was real?
No, Nick didn't tell him that zombies wasn't real.
No, Nick didn't tell him that zombies weren't real.
Were real.
What did Nick tell him?
Well, Nick told him that the Santa Claus wasn't real.
Nick told him that Santa Claus wasn't real. When Tom realized that Santa Claus wasn't real, did he feel angry?
No, he didn't. No, he didn't feel angry when he realized
No,
the
that's
Santa
not
Claus
how we
wasn't
felt.
real.
When Tom realized that Santa wasn't real, he didn't feel angry. Did he feel embarrassed?
No, he didn't feel embarrassed.
No, he didn't feel embarrassed. How did he feel?
He was surprised and sad at the same time.
He felt surprised and sad at the same time. Who was surprised and sad at the same time?
It was Tom. Tom was surprised and sad at the same time.
It was Tom. Tom was surprised and sad at the same time. When Tom got home that day, what did he do?
When Tom got home that day, he told Kate that Santa didn't actually exist.
When Tom got home that day, he told Kate that Santa didn't actually exist. Did he tell Kate that their parents were sick?
No, he didn't tell Kate that their parents were sick.
No, he didn't tell Kate that their parents were sick. Did he tell Kate that ghosts didn't actually exist?
No, he didn't tell Kate that the ghost didn't actually exist.
No, he didn't tell Kate that ghosts didn't actually exist. What did he tell Kate?
He told Kate that Santa didn't actually exist.
He told Kate that Santa didn't actually exist. When Kate realized that Santa didn't exist, did she laugh?
No, she didn't laugh when she realized the Santa Claus
No,
didn't exist.
Kate did laugh when she realized that Santa didn't exist. What happened when she realized that Santa didn't exist?
She cried for almost an hour when she realized the Santa Claus didn't exist.
When she realized that Santa didn't exist, she cried for almost an hour. Did she cry for just a few minutes?
No, she didn't cry for just a few minutes.
No, she didn't cry for just a few minutes. How long did she cry?
She cried for almost an hour.
She cried for almost an hour. Was it Tom who cried for almost an hour?
No, it was Tom. Tom didn't cry for almost
No,
an
it
hour.
wasn't Tom who cried for almost an hour.
Mm. No, it wasn't Tom who cried for almost an hour.
Who cried for almost an hour?
It was Kate. Kate cried for almost an hour.
It was Kate. Kate cried for almost an hour. Now, I'm going to ask questions about two sisters named Grace and Emma. Do Grace and Emma have pets?
Yes, Grace and Emma have pets.
Yes, Grace and Emma have pets. Are their pets dogs?
No, their pets aren't dogs.
No, their pets aren't dogs. Are their pets cats?
No, their pets aren't cats.
No, their pets aren't cats. What kind of animal are their pets?
Their pets are spiders.
Their pets are spiders. How many spiders do they have?
They have 3 spiders.
They have 3 spiders. Do they think their spiders are scary?
No, they don't
No,
think
they don't
the
think their
spiders
spiders are
are
scary.
scary.
What do they think about their spiders?
They think the spiders are cute.
Well, they think their spiders are cute. When Grace and Emma were young, were they afraid of birds?
No, when they were young, they was
No,
afraid
they
of
weren't
birds.
afraid of birds when they were young. Were they afraid of dogs?
No, weren't afraid of dogs.
No, they weren't afraid of dogs. What were they afraid of?
They're afraid of spiders.
They were afraid of spiders. When they were young, did they think spiders were cute?
When they were young, they didn't think the spiders were
No,
cute.
they didn't think spiders were cute when they were young. Did they think spiders were interesting?
No, they didn't think the spiders were interesting.
No, they didn't think spiders were interesting.
No, they didn't think the
What did
spiders
they
were
think about spiders?
interesting. They thought the spiders were
They
really
thought
scary.
spiders were really scary.
They thought the spiders
Who thought
were really
spiders were
scary.
scary? Grace and Emma thought spiders were scary.
Grace and Emma thought the spiders were scary.
Did Grace and Emma watch a cartoon one day?
Yes, Grace and Emma watched the cartoon one day.
Yes, they did. Grace and Emma watched a cartoon one day.
Yes, they did. Grace
Was
and
the
Emma watched
cartoon
the
about
cartoon one
dogs?
day. No, the cartoon
No,
wasn't
the
about dogs.
cartoon wasn't about dogs. Was the cartoon about cats?
No, the cartoon wasn't about cats either.
No, the cartoon wasn't about cats either. What was the cartoon about?
The cartoon about the spiders.
The cartoon was about spiders. Were there spiders in the cartoon?
Yes, there were spiders in the cartoon.
Yes, there were spiders in a cartoon. While watching the cartoon, did they feel bored?
No, they didn't feel
No,
bored
they didn't
when
feel
they
bored while watching the
while they wa-
cartoon.
while watching
Was the
cartoon.
cartoon boring?
No, the cartoon wasn't boring.
No, the cartoon wasn't boring. Was the cartoon funny?
Yes, the cartoon was very
Yes,
funny.
the cartoon was funny. Was the spiders in the cartoon scary?
No, the spiders wasn't in the cartoon. No, the
No,
spiders
the
in the
spiders in the
cartoon
cartoon
wasn't
weren't scary.
scary.
Were the spiders in the cartoon cute?
Yes, the spiders in the cartoon were really cute.
Yes, the spiders in the cartoon were cute. Before they watched the cartoon, were they afraid of spiders?
Yes, that's correct. Before they watched the cartoon, they were afraid of
Yes,
spiders.
that's correct. Before they watched the cartoon, they were afraid of spiders. What happened after they watched the cartoon?
After they watched the cartoon, their fear of
After they
spiders
watched
was
the
completely
cartoon, the
gone.
fear of spider was completely gone. After they watched the cartoon, were they still afraid of spiders?
No, after they watched the cartoon, they were no
No, they
longer
weren't.
afraid of
After they watched
spiders.
the cartoon, they were no longer afraid of spiders. Was the fear of spiders completely gone?
Yes, their fear of spiders was completely gone.
Yes, that's correct. The fear of spiders was completely gone.
Completely gone.